Welcome back to the Football Pharaoh YouTube channel, and this is an incredible day. It's a historic day. This video is now filmed in the wake of the greatest and most important ever match in Egyptian football history. Egypt against New Zealand on the 21st of June in Vancouver. 3-1 Egypt is the final score. Should have been 4-1 has it not been Zizou for missing the easiest chance you'll see in this tournament. I mentioned that should have not been the squad regardless, but this is not the important topic of discussion today. It is a byproduct of generations and generations of hard work that have led to this moment, heartbreak after another, to truly understand the significance and the pertinence of this incredible victory. You have to go back 92 years to our start of the World Cup. You know what, you might even have to go 4 years further, 96 years, to the first ever World Cup in 1930, when Egypt missed that World Cup because we missed our boat to Uruguay. Since then has been nothing but heartbreak with the world's greatest tournament. 1934, losing our first game in the World Cup 4-2, it took the next African team 30 plus years to play at a World Cup again. That was the significance of that game against an incredible Hungary side. 1990, our next qualification, we were too scared to lose than we cared about winning, and we ended up causing a rule change in FIFA after the famous incident of Egypt against Ireland, when we just kept passing it back to Ahmed Shoubir, our keeper, in 1990, and incidentally his son has carried us forward to our first ever World Cup win. So much history in that game, from the time wasting of 1990 to the incompetence of 2018, our most embarrassing World Cup display and the most embarrassing Egyptian side in my opinion in recent history as well. All was missing was our star player finally being fit for that World Cup and the biggest stage, and there he was to lead us to a 3-1 victory. It is so difficult, I think, for a neutral, non-Egyptian or maybe even non-Arab fan to understand the significance of this win for a country and a nation like Egypt. Egypt rivals Brazil and Argentina, and rivals the world's most passionate countries in football love and admiration. But above all, we also rival Brazil, Argentina, the Germany and the Italys of the world when it comes to continental dominance. We are by far the most dominant team in Africa in every category that you can look at. Yet, we are the team with the largest disparity when it comes to continental achievement and World Cup achievement. We have had that as a stain on our record for generations and generations, and it still is. We're still 10th in the all-time African leaderboard for World Cup performances. This is still our first ever win in the World Cup, but it marks a change of psychology, a change of mindset, and it's a historical day that I am so grateful to have been a part of, even just on the stands. Seeing a game of this glory, seeing how much it meant to the fans at the stadium, and seeing how much belief and joy and passion the Egyptian fans carried to the game in a sea of red, overtaking, completely flooding the streets of Vancouver. It was incredible. Celebration afterwards, whether at the team hotel or in the middle of Granville Street, one of the biggest streets in Vancouver, it really shows you how much this means to the people and how much this is a story that they'll never forget and they'll continue to tell for generation after another. I remember my father's story about the 1990 World Cup, and I know I'll be telling the same to my son, and his son will hear the same from him afterwards. This is a day beyond days, and it's a result that is always going to be overarching for many of those players' career. But what matters now is we are still in the present moment where we have an opportunity to create a further legacy for those future generations. We want them to think that a win is insignificant in the grand scheme of a World Cup. We want them to know that their capabilities, their nation's capabilities, supersede that significantly. Ambition needs to be higher in this tournament. Our sights need to be much higher. Well, if you have looked at the knockout bracket, you know that winning the group does not necessarily give us the easiest route. But what matters now is continuing this momentum, going against Iran, still with our strongest team, trying to get another win, or at the very least a draw, maintaining topping our group for the first time ever, going into round of 32 with real momentum. In the World Cup, you can lose any game, but you don't get games that you go into not wanting to win. I don't believe that to be fair to the Egyptian people and fair to these players that have put their heart and souls on the line. Special shout out needs to go to Mustafa Zico, the standout member of the squad, burst onto the scene this tournament. Largest credit has to go to Hossam Hassan, a player that was not expected to be in the roster, never mind starting every game. He's given him a leading role, he showed his belief in him, and that has paid off with a goal against Russia in the friendly and a historic goal against Brazil in another friendly. Now a goal and assist at the largest stage of them all really was essential in that game. His link-up play with Salah for that second goal was phenomenal. His ability to set it up with his run, start the play, and to help finish it was incredible. And besides, his goal is what got us into this game. The first half, in the first place, after a disastrous first half to say the least. What matters now is that we carry the momentum from the second half forward and we play like that to begin with, where we know that nothing but the best for our nation, for our people, will be enough.
This is the field where history was created. These hollowed grounds is where Egyptians will remember for years and years and generations to come. Everyone here that was in these stands has left with a story they will tell for generations. And I'm privileged to be one of them. What an incredible day. Let's hope Egypt can capitalize on this and carries us through to not only the next round, the top of the group, but all the way quarterfinal, semi-final. We need to have higher ambitions because these boys are capable of it, and Salah deserves it. See you later.
Salah!